Hi everybody, and welcome to the second part of this introduction to web page design using Adobe Dreamweaver CS6. In the last tutorial we were looking at how to create a layout for our web page, and we decided that using tables helps us to organize the look of the web page. My idea had 4 rows, one row here for the logo and the banner, another row here for all my links, one row here for some information and an image, and another row here for the footer. In each of these 4 rows I inserted another table. This has another table which has 2 columns, one for the logo and one for the banner. This row here I inserted another table with 5 columns, one column for each of the links that I will include later, and so on and so forth. And if I go to live view, this is currently what my web page is looking like. Alright, so let's turn our attention to the banner. As you can see here, I've got about 925 pixels of space for my banner. So I need to think about that while I'm designing the banner. So I'm going to go to Photoshop. I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create something that's about 1,000 pixels wide. The height, I'm not really sure about the height. I can change this later, so it's not a huge decision right now. But I'm going to say, let's say it's 200 pixels high. And this is the area that I've got to play in. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time designing the banner in today's tutorial. You'll have plenty of time yourself to have a go at it. What I was going to do was go to the internet and find a minion. And as you can see, I was already messing around with that previously. I'm not sure if this is the best idea, but I'm going to copy that image. I'm going to get it into Photoshop, and I'm just going to kind of stick in there. And I'm going to go to the text tool, type in "Welcome to my web site." Now we can't see that because it's white. I chose white, and the text is white. But don't panic, because Photoshop has the magical FX button where we can do some color overlay, and I'm going to choose a nice blue color. There we go. Control T, and I can change the size. So a very basic banner. Now what I'm going to introduce to you now is a way to insert images into Dreamweaver without first having to create JPEGs. Dreamweaver allows you to insert Photoshop project files directly, and let me show you how to do that. I'm going to save my banner, not as a JPEG this time. I'm going to save it as a Photoshop project file. And in my web project folder, I've actually created a new folder called Photoshop. I'm going to call this file banner, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to go to Dreamweaver. I'm going to click in this banner cell here, and I'm going to insert an image. This time I'm going to go to my Photoshop folder and choose my banner project file. Now it's going to ask me in what format I want the image to be displayed, so I'm going to tell it JPEG, that's fine. And it's also going to ask me to save the file as a JPEG. So actually I'm going to have 2 files to play with, the JPEG image and the Photoshop file. So I'm going to go to my images folder. It's already told me that it's going to save it as a JPEG. It's using the same name as the PSD file. I'm going to save that. Brilliant. So if I go to my live preview, I'm going to preview this in Chrome, this is what it's looking like. And already the idea for my web page is starting to change. I like the banner, but I'm not very interested in having this web page file here. So I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to delete that because I don't want it anymore. And let's just preview that again. And that's currently what we've got. Alright, now we're going to move on and have a look at how to use Photoshop to create some interesting looking buttons for our links. So view this as a tutorial for Photoshop skills development. Alright, here we go. My links, by the way, are going to be, I might try and make them a little bit more kind of square, big square links running across here. Everything is editable, so don't worry about making final decisions because you can change everything later. But I'm going to go to File, New, Squares, 400 by 400 pixels. Yeah, that'll be a nice square. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer. I'm then going to create a circle. And in that circle, I'm going to put a gradient. And my gradient is going to be based on my colors that I've selected in Photoshop. At the moment, it's foreground to background. They're black and white. There's foreground, and there's background. So I'm going to change those. What am I going to do? A nice blue to black. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look at that. Gradient tool, and just drag a line down. Ooh, there we go. That's not bad. Let's make it a radial gradient. See what that looks like. Ooh, that's looking nicer. I do like that. Yes, yes. Just going to keep playing with this. I'm just going to do Control Alt Z Z Z Z Z. I'm going to do that one more time from the beginning. Yeah, all right. I'm going to stick with that. I can always change it later. Now I'm going to make let's call that circle. I'm now going to make another layer. Control D to deselect that running line. But in my new layer, which I'm going to call light, I'm going to make another ellipse, something like that. Before I let go of the button, I'm going to press the space bar so I can move this thing around. That's it. That's it. Space bar, move it down a little bit. And then that's fine. I'm going to let go. Now I'm going to go back to the gradient tool, but this time I'm going to choose foreground to transparent. And I'm going to change these colors to black and white. And I'm going to change the gradient to linear. Ooh, not bad. Control Alt Z Z. I just want to start again. Control Alt Z. We'll get there, but it's just going to take a bit of time. Control Alt Z. Just trying to get a nice effect. That's all right. I can live with that. Control D. Now then, I'm going to merge these two layers together to make one layer. So click on light, click on the top one, and press Control E on your keyboard. E for egg. Now we have one layer. They have been combined. Now I'm going to duplicate that layer, and the one behind I'm going to Control T and Alt Shift drag. Enter. And then I'm going to change the color of that. FX, color overlay. Yeah, grey is fine. I'm going to leave that grey. That's fine. Oh, and I wanted to do another FX on that circle. Click, click. I want to do a bevel. That's it. Just give it a bit of bevel. Brilliant. That's looking all right, isn't it? I've just chopped the top of that off. What am I going to do about that? Can I move it? I don't know if I can move that. Oh, yes, I can. Can I move this into place? Yes, okay, that's good. I can see everything now. That's fine. Now let's make a new layer. And this is going to be a button that's going to link me to my Facebook account or to Facebook's homepage. So I'm just going to, whoops, mess around with that. And I'm going to, I know another little trick. I'm going to go to the T button on the text layer. I'm going to select a fisheye style. Boom. Oh, that's not bad. Do I want it to come out or go in? Maybe go in. Alright, now we're talking. And there's my button. Now, same as before, guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, Save. I'm going to save the Photoshop project file in my Photoshop file. This is my Facebook button, so I'm going to call it Facebook. Now notice that there's no white here because I turned off the background. I turned that off because I'm not going to save this as a JPEG. I'm going to save this as a PNG in Dreamweaver. So in Dreamweaver, we'll come to this area here. We're going to insert an image, which is from my Photoshop folder. It's my Facebook button. I'm going to save it as a PNG. I'm going to, I don't know if I have to change something here, we'll find out. Oh, there it is, look. I'm going to do OK. I'm going to save my PNG file in my images folder. That's fine. Save. OK. And I'm just going to make that a bit smaller. And don't worry about its position at the moment. I can click into this cell and change some of the information. So here's some cell information for this cell here. And I'm going to change the vertical alignment, the horizontal alignment to center. And that will put it into the center of the cell for me. I can drag that off, and later I'll do this button here. So let's have a quick look at this in Chrome. Save changes to my... And there we have it. Now let's just, I don't like the green, of course, that's going to disappear soon. I'll have to think about that. And all these colors will disappear. But slowly, my web page is starting to come alive.